By now, the mercury's dropped sharply in many parts of southern Australia. Indeed, it's been cold enough for snow in the Alps. But spare a thought for those who live and work in the deep south on rugged Macquarie Island in the Sub-Antarctic. Last month, a team of specialists from Australia, including a dozen sniffer dogs, landed on the World Heritage listed island to start a 5-year, $25 million pest eradication program. They'll be targeting rats and rabbits to give native vegetation and the penguins, seals and seabirds who breed there a break. ABC reporter Tracy Bowden prepared this special report for Landline.
Macquarie Island is one of the most remote landmasses on Earth, a wind-swept spot in the middle of the Southern Ocean, about halfway between Tasmania and Antarctica. The island is 34 kilometres long and 5 kilometres wide. Its rugged beauty and diverse wildlife touch all those who make the long journey here.
It's a pretty amazing place to live. From a biological point of view, it's almost like living in some sort of nature documentary. There are so many animals packed in such a small space. Many of the seals, the albatrosses and similar birds, and many species of penguin that may feed further south, want to lay their eggs on the last bit of sort of normal green covered dirt rather than ice, and that's what Macquarie Island represents.
So it is this amazing place that with a dynamic weather system and wildlife absolutely everywhere, and it's very raw. The place is incredibly raw.
This really is a remarkable spot. The penguins, these are king penguins, one of the species on the island, and they just wander right up to you, clearly not at all afraid. Elephant seals are flopping all over the beach, but their environment is under threat.
The damage that has been done to the natural environment here is just staggering. Literally brings tears to people's eyes who know the place and know what the landscape looks like.
A massive operation coordinated by the Tasmanian Parks and Wildlife Service and funded by the Tasmanian and federal governments hopes to address the problem once and for all. The goal is to eradicate 3 non-native species from the island: ship's rats, house mice and rabbits. Keith Springer is the project manager.
The only way to allow the vegetation and native wildlife to recover is to remove the impacts of those invasive species.
The sealers who came to Macquarie Island in the early 1800s have a lot to answer for. First, they hunted fur seals to the point of extinction. Then they began hunting elephant seals. Next, penguins. Believe it or not, these are penguin digesters. Back in the 1800s, hunters would corral any penguins that were in this area, shove them into the top of the device, boil them up overnight, and then the oil was drawn off into barrels, which became heating oil.
Up to 2,000 penguins were stacked into one digester at a time. Now, it does seem barbaric and pretty horrific to us, but I suppose we have to remember that this was before we had much mineral oil. So if we wanted to have oil to run our lamps or oil to rub into our jackets to make them waterproof or to protect our ropes or to lubricate our cart bearings, we needed oil, and at that stage we were using oil from animals.
Then in the 1870s, the sealers introduced the European rabbit to the island as an alternative food source.
Their diet was very limited, sort of salt pork and bully beef and ship's biscuits and that sort of thing, and what they could get from penguins and seals. So rabbits are a very welcome form of alternative food for them. So I guess they just didn't have the foresight or maybe the values to think of what those rabbits might do to the island once the sealers had left.
But by the 1970s, there were more than 100,000 rabbits on the island. They wreaked havoc with the vegetation, causing soil erosion and destroying nesting burrows. Myxomatosis reduced the population for a time, but the rabbits developed immunity and their numbers again grew.
I think it's first to say that I think we're making history. I think it's the first dog training class ever in the middle of the Great Southern Ocean.
As they head south for Macquarie Island on board the icebreaker the Aurora Australis, 12 key members of the eradication team are being put through their paces by trainer Steve Austin.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the dogs on some steadiness.
This has taken a lot of dogs to get here. I mean, what you see now is the end result of probably 40 or 50 or 60 dogs that have gone through processes that haven't made it. These dogs are the cream of the crop. These are the SAS of rabbit dogs, you know.
Stay your dogs. Good. Praise them. Good dogs.
They won't be killing anything on the island. Their job is to detect where the rabbit is sleeping or laying up, where the urine and where the dropping is.
The dogs' work will come later. First, a team of 4 helicopters distributes hundreds of bait pods across the island, ready for aerial baiting. The bait is in cereal-based pellets and contains the toxin brodifacoum.